For decades, the skies above us have been home to creatures so ubiquitous and unremarkable that they barely raise an eyebrow in the minds of the public: birds. These feathery flyers, so common in our everyday lives, have been serenading our mornings, scavenging our sidewalks, and flocking to our parks. But what if everything we knew about them was a lie? What if birds, as we know them, aren't real? The birds aren't real conspiracy claims just that. All birds have been replaced by government surveillance drones designed to monitor, control, and manipulate the populace. The theory is as outlandish as it is captivating, raising questions about surveillance, technology, and the limits of human belief. The movement started as satire, yet in an age where even the most far-fetched ideas find believers, it has garnered a following that both plays with and critiques the modern world's relationship with truth. The birds aren't real conspiracy theory began as a satirical movement around 2017, with its origins attributed to a character named Peter McIndoe. According to the theory's creators, birds were systematically exterminated by the US government starting in the 1950s, and by the 1970s, all birds had been replaced by high-tech surveillance drones designed to spy on citizens. McIndoe, along with others who propagate the theory, claim that this covert operation was engineered by shadowy figures in the government to keep the public in check and monitor their every move. According to the supposed history, the conspiracy began with the advent of modern technology during the Cold War. The US government, anxious to gain the upper hand in global intelligence, developed a plan to monitor its citizens and other countries on a mass scale. Birds, seen as perfect spies due to their ubiquity and mobility, were slowly exterminated and replaced with mechanical counterparts designed to look and act like real birds. Although originally intended as satire, the movement quickly gained popularity among young people, who viewed it as a tongue-in-cheek critique of government overreach, online misinformation, and the absurdity of some conspiracy theories. For many, the movement wasn't about genuinely believing that birds were drones, but rather about using the theory to highlight how easily people can be swayed by pseudoscience and false narratives. Yet in today's world where real and fake news often blur, some have started to question whether there's a grain of truth to the outlandish claims. Like many conspiracy theories, the birds aren't real movement presents a collection of circumstantial evidence that, when viewed through a certain lens, begins to look more plausible. While the theory's creators admit that it is mostly satire, some adherents point to a range of facts to bolster their claims. 1. The decline in bird populations. Environmental studies have shown a dramatic decline in bird populations in recent decades. According to one 2019 study, North America has lost nearly 3 billion birds since 1970. While most scientists attribute this decline to habitat loss, pesticides, and climate change, proponents of the bird drone theory argue that this is actually evidence of the gradual extermination of real birds by the government. 2. The resting birds. Have you ever noticed a flock of birds sitting motionless on power lines for long stretches of time? The birds aren't real theory posits that this is not because birds are resting or warming themselves, as ornithologists suggest, but because these drones are recharging via electrical currents in the power lines. According to the theory, these power lines are essentially the charging stations for the surveillance network. 3. Birds' ability to migrate. Birds' incredible migratory abilities have long fascinated scientists, but conspiracy theorists argue that such behavior is suspiciously advanced. They claim that the precision with which birds travel thousands of miles and return to the exact same spots year after year could only be explained by sophisticated GPS technology embedded in these drones. 4. Unchanging pigeon populations. Some theorists note that despite urban environments changing dramatically over the last century, pigeon populations seem to remain remarkably consistent in cities. The theory claims that this is because pigeons are the government's primary surveillance drones, perfectly designed to blend into the background without attracting too much attention. 5. Odd bird behavior. There are countless videos online showing birds seemingly malfunctioning, flying into windows, flying erratically, or even remaining perfectly still in midair. These videos are often cited as evidence that not all bird drones are functioning correctly, and some are malfunctioning due to technical issues. 6. Government research on drones. One kernel of truth that feeds the theory is the well-documented history of governments experimenting with using animals and robots for espionage. From Project Acoustic Kitty, where the CIA tried to turn a cat into a spy device, to the development of robotic insects for surveillance purposes, government interest in animal surveillance is not entirely out of the realm of possibility. The birds aren't real conspiracy takes this fact and runs with it, proposing that birds were the ultimate choice for mass surveillance. On the surface, the idea that birds are government-operated drones sounds absurd. Yet, in a world where misinformation spreads rapidly and public trust in institutions is at an all-time low, it's not surprising that even the wildest ideas can gain traction. There are several psychological and cultural reasons that explain why some people might latch onto this conspiracy theory. 1. Distrust in authority. A major factor behind the belief in conspiracy theories is distrust in authority. As governments and institutions around the world face scrutiny for surveillance programs such as the NSA's data collection revelations, it becomes easier for people to believe that something as outrageous as birds being used as spying devices could be true. 2. Cognitive bias. The human brain is wired to find patterns, even where none exist. This is known as patternicity, and it's the same phenomenon that leads us to see faces in clouds or hear hidden messages in songs played backward. Once someone is exposed to the idea that birds might be drones, they might begin to notice suspicious behavior that confirms their bias, such as a bird staying still on a wire or flying in a strange way. 3. Misinformation in the digital age. The internet has made it easier than ever to share ideas, whether they're based on fact or fiction. Social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok allow conspiracy theories to spread quickly, gaining more believers with each share. Memes and viral videos play a huge role in promoting fringe theories, and Birds Aren't Real has capitalized on this. 4. Humor and irony. For many, the theory is more of a joke or a cultural commentary than a literal belief. The movement pokes fun at how ridiculous some conspiracy theories can get, while also critiquing how misinformation can go viral. It's often used as a way for younger generations to express their cynicism toward government surveillance, the media, and societal gullibility. The need for control. Conspiracy theories often provide an easy-to-understand explanation for complex problems. In a world full of uncertainty, whether due to pandemics, economic turmoil, or political instability, believing in a theory that explains it all, even one as absurd as birds being government drones, can give people a sense of control over their environment. While most people understand that the birds aren't real theory is a joke, its popularity reveals something deeper about modern society. It is a reflection of the times, where irony, satire, and skepticism are key elements in how younger generations view the world. The theory has morphed from an absurd idea into a movement that mocks the very nature of conspiracy culture and the susceptibility of the public to believe misinformation. The Birds Aren't Real movement cleverly taps into modern anxieties about surveillance and privacy, which are real concerns in today's digital age. Governments around the world are increasingly using advanced technology to monitor their citizens, from facial recognition software to internet data tracking. The line between reality and parody becomes blurred in a world where legitimate surveillance concerns coexist with exaggerated, even outlandish theories like birds being drones. In addition to its critique of modern surveillance, the movement also serves as a parody of online conspiracy culture. By embracing and exaggerating conspiracy logic, it shows how easily people can be swept up by pseudoscience and unverified claims. This aspect of the movement raises important questions about the role of social media and the responsibility of platforms in curbing the spread of misinformation. The Birds Aren't Real conspiracy theory, while satirical in nature, offers a fascinating window into the dynamics of belief, misinformation, and humor in the digital age. On the surface, it is an absurd and outlandish claim, but beneath the surface, it speaks to deeper concerns about government surveillance, media manipulation, and the spread of misinformation. In a time when conspiracy theories abound, it serves as both a parody and a critique of how far we are willing to suspend disbelief when confronted with the possibility of hidden truths. For most, the idea that birds are drones is nothing more than a clever satire. But as with all conspiracy theories, there are those who might be inclined to believe in it, despite the overwhelming evidence to the contrary. The flight of fiction is a powerful one, and in a world where it can be hard to distinguish between reality and parody, the sky's the limit for what people are willing to believe. So, next time you see a pigeon perched on a power line, you might just find yourself wondering, is it watching you, or is it simply recharging for its next surveillance mission?